Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today we're going to talk about winter projects. We haven't been able to do any outdoor videos really because the weather's been so bad. Hard to believe that 4 days ago we had 17 inches of snow. But anyway, here's some of the things that we're working on. I had this in a prior video. I had gotten the engine unstuck. It has really good compression. Haven't done the ignition yet or the carburation work, but first thing I want to do is get the chain freed up. You have to zoom in on it here. It's got a few places where it actually moves, like here. So we got a good chance to get that freed up. Right there it moves. It's a big chain, so the thing I use is Marvel Mystery Oil. It's a really good penetrant. Here's a modern can and here's an antique can. But what you want to do is just pour it on here and just let it soak, and every few days just go ahead and come back and keep soaking it, keep working the chain a little bit, and eventually it'll free up. And once I get it off the bar here, then I'll take it over to a buffing wheel with a wire wheel on it and get the rust off it, and then I can put it in a vise and I can flex it and stuff to get it all broke loose. But anyway, a few other things. This needs an oil line. It goes for the bar oiler's broken and that'll need to be replaced. So anyway, you'll see that I have a piece of paper underneath here to catch the oil dripping off. Got to remember, use what you have. So once I'm through doing this and stuff, I've got a whole bunch of these laying around the yard here. It's slick out here. Then I'm going to burn, so you can use this for fire starter. So use your resources. Be right back. Well, we're back with another project. This is a Homelite model EZ from 1956. This has been a project because the chain was totally destroyed on it. It wasn't usable, and it's really hard to find chains for these, but I finally found a junker saw that had a good bar and chain on it. I've got to go through the ignition and the carburetor and stuff, but overall it's in really nice shape. It's got the crummy Fairbanks Moore starter like I gripe about all the time, but it's really nice. And it's got the oil tank here, fuel tank here. Ignition switch is up at the top here. Of course, your recoil starter here. It's got really good compression. Muffler is just basically an elbow with an outlet, so there's no baffle or anything in it. Pretty noisy, but low RPM. Manual oiling only. So anyway, this is something we hope we'll have it all ready this spring, and we'll actually take some of these old saws out and do some cutting, because I've got to drop some trees as soon as the weather gets better. We'll be back with some more. Well, here's another project. This one is in really nice condition for its age. It's a 1966. It's a mono, which is one of the bigger selling Brand X chainsaws. Got the Power Products 2-stroke engine in it. And the thing I found wrong with this saw is the carburetor has zinc rod in it, so I found another carburetor, and it's not 100% correct, but it'll work. Need to find a knob for the manual oiler. And doesn't have spark either, but these are really easy to fix. An updated Fairbanks Moore starter. Anyway, that's another project. This one shouldn't take too long. On these saws, as I go through them and stuff, we'll do video to show the things that I find with them and how to fix them. So be back with some more. Okay, well, here is another mono. It's a model SL145. You can see it's totally modern layout and stuff. This one's a 1966. This is a 1966. So they were selling these obsolete clunkers at the same time. These were recently successful. This saw's had quite a bit of use. The chain's worn way back and stuff. And the only reason I haven't run it is that the carburetor on it is an odd brand, and for a long time kits were not available for them. There's a guy that makes them on occasion, so you just have to wait and make a batch of them and stuff. So hopefully this spring I'll have that. But You know, it's just a nice layout. Here's the oiler. It has manual and automatic oiling. The throttle lock and the choke is right here. Oil and fuel on the top, and the kill switch right here. The muffler on these early saws, this is just a rectangular tube, and then it's got a little plate on the side where the exhaust blows out. It's weird that it blows forward instead of out like most of them. Like this one here, it blows off to the side. Anyway, it's weird how the companies would make stuff like this on the same year. Homelite was real bad for selling obsolete saws along with their modern saws for quite a while too, so who knows what the marketing people were thinking. Okay, now we're going to talk about Randy to the rescue. Okay, well, my buddy Randy gave me this Stihl 051 a while back, and two things are wrong with it: the recoil starter and the ignition module, which was a real problem. The ignition module was a poor quality device that failed with constant regularity, and the recoil was a Fairbanks Morse starter, which is a cheapo starter made for little bitty engines. And I looked and looked trying to find stuff for it. I found an ignition module. I did the video on this. You can go back and watch it, and I talk about the ignition module, and the carburetor stuff is available, so I've got that ready to go. But I had to stop working on it because I couldn't find a starter cup like this. This is a you can see in here it's got little detents sticking in there so that the dog in the starter can catch on it. And these were made either out of steel like this one or aluminum, and the aluminum ones had teeth in them, but they just wear right out. This is one of the better designs, but the thing that's so dumb about it is that this starter cup can be used on about a half a dozen or more different brands of engines, so just dropping it on. But of course Stihl made it so that the starter cup wouldn't fit anything else, and then you had to buy it from them, and of course they discontinued it years ago. So anyway, Randy, being the good soul he is, came to the rescue. He had a relative or someone that had this part saw. It's a Stihl 051. This is an earlier model. The later one just had a little metal plate that said Stihl 051 on it, and this one's actually cast into the air cleaner cover. I'm going to use that because that really is kind of a neat looking piece. The other one has no muffler cover, and this has the remains of one, but it looks really nice how they did it. It's got a nice muffler on it and stuff. The main thing is the starter on it is perfect. And here's another one that he gave me and stuff. And when you pull the rope, you can see these little dogs move in and out. And right here, that comes out and catches that notch either on a tooth or that detent on the cup. But the little friction discs in here and stuff, and like I say, it's okay on a little bitty motor, but a big engine like this, no way. The only saving grace is that these had a compression release, and that's the only reason they would last at all. One of my viewers, Blogger Al, told me all about these. But they had such a bad rep for the bad ignitions on these that they recalled a bunch of them, put in new ignition modules, and they guaranteed them as long as you owned the saw. And then on the starter, they were having real big problems with them failing left and right. So they redesigned them, and you have to have a different side cover, and a different starter mechanism, and a different flywheel to upgrade them. And I was ready to do that on that other saw, but now I don't have to. The other nice thing about this has got the throttle lock and all the pieces on it, and my 075 didn't have any of that stuff. And just a plastic two pieces here, and this little knob and a spring and a pin in there. With shipping, I spent over $50 on parts, and Randy had a whole box of parts he gave me, so I have a better top piece like this for the broken one on the other 051. All the pieces I need to fix the other one that he gave me and stuff. And plus a real nice muffler. This has a nice muffler on it too. I'd probably use this one even better. But it's not dented or anything like that, and the fins aren't mashed over like on the other saw. But there again, there are some really good people out there. If you watch the news and stuff, you think not, but that's nonsense. So anyway, there's some of the projects. We've got a couple others we'll just take pictures of you. Like I said, we had some really heavy snow here lately, and so we'll show you the results of that. Remember, vintage is good. We'll see you in the next video. Well, you can see the roof of my shed collapsed here. It's really weird because I came out and kept keeping the snow off it. And it survived the snow, and then we had super heavy rains for the last 4 days. And it just gave way, even though it wasn't pooling on it or anything, but it was just rotten, so time for a new top. Got one other one to show you here too. Well, this poor shed has withstood a lot of storms and tree damage and stuff. The heavy snow got to this one. A couple of big branches blew down on it and crushed it, and then the snow collapsed it. So we got everything to build a new one. We'll do a video on that when we're ready.